I'm gonna talk about Spider-Man 2, which is going above and beyond his little brother Spider-Man 1, who had the record after 3 days of selling 3.3 million copies back in the day. On the first day, they sold 2.5 million copies of Spider-Man 2, making it the best seller for PlayStation ever. So, congrats. I don't have a PS5, so I won't be playing this game, but I'm a big fan of the movies, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Multiverse. Both movies are great. And I'm not sure if these games follow the same track as the movies or if it's different or if it's based on the comics or anything, but it's still Miles Morales and Peter Parker. And it looks like it's amazing. So congrats to PlayStation for this game and for their sales. And I really, just because of games like this, I'm thinking, damn, I'd like to have a PS5.
I think this is an original story. Not quite sure.
So, did, did you play the first maybe or?
I did not. I'm not. Korean and I touched on this on Twitter. I'm not a big fan of these kind of superhero games. Not that I don't like superhero games. Like I really enjoyed Infamous, but I don't know. Like ever since I was a little kid, like even with Legos, when Legos created like their own world, like Aquanaut or Mtron or Blacktron, I really liked those sets because it's like, oh, here's this kind of world that doesn't have its own lore, or here's something that you can create your own adventures in. And so I felt like I had a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to do or explore things that I wanted to explore. But then when they started coming out with things like Harry Potter Lego sets or even Star Wars to an extent, I was not so into it because I'm like, oh, okay, if I get a Harry Potter set, I already know what these characters are. So I already know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. I already know what the story's going to be. So in my own little mind, I was like, oh, it feels more limiting to me as opposed to the original Legos, which were more creative in a sense because there wasn't that baggage that came with it. And a lot of times with these superhero games, I'm in the same boat where Spider-Man comes with their preset stories and baggage, and there might be some plot twists and surprises in there, but you know who the villains are, you know who the good guys are, you know who the bad guys are. So for me, I don't usually get into them, which doesn't make a lot of sense when I think about it because I still enjoy the movies. And of course, when going into the movie, I know who the good guys and bad guys are going to be. But yeah, I don't know. So I did not play the original one. I have seen quite a bit of discourse online. This a lot of people have been going through Twitter looking for bugs and just compiling every bug that they can possibly find and then tweeting about it relentlessly. If you do see things on Twitter, be careful because some of them apparently are not bugs. Apparently, one of the things that people were doing was they were going into photo mode, and in photo mode, you can pose the characters. They were like posing characters within random NPCs and then saying, "Oh, look at this bug! My character is merged with an NPC," but it wasn't a bug. It was taken in photo mode to look like it was a bug. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey online with the console wars. First, there were people who just kept ragging on Starfield, and now those people that were defending Starfield are going back and doing the same thing to Spider-Man and saying, "Oh, this is the buggiest game that's ever come out," and that sort of thing. But
Going that far. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Going
yeah.
that
So
far to lie to people, it's just it's pathetic.
yeah, that's the nature of Twitter and console wars.
Talking
Never
about
appealed to
console
me.
wars, I don't even know Sega versus Nintendo.
Yeah.
That was console wars.
But yeah, no, it looks great. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I see a lot of people online that are having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not my jam.
I played the first one last week for the first time. After Starfield, I'm like, okay, I went to the usual routine of, okay, what am I going to play? And checked out Epic Games and checked out Steam and checked out Nintendo Switch was last. And I was like, oh, okay, Spider Man was on sale on the Epic Games Store, 40% off. I think I bought it for $30. Installed it, played it. Wow, runs amazingly. And I enjoyed it as well because I was a huge fan of the 90s cartoon Spider-Man. That was amazing. The story and Black Cat and all the lore. And I played this and the story was great and it was really fun and still installed on my computer. But it was just like it reminds me of the Batman games in a sense, like when you're playing with a controller, it's like the thing I always find hard with the controller is like coordinating. I see Adam when he's on his stream and he's like holding stuff like this. I'm like, how the hell do you remember what all these buttons do? It's just, I can't do it. Yeah, no. And it just, I was playing Spider Man. I was like, this is like shooting the guy with a web so that he doesn't shoot you back, and then you need to hold this key to grab this object and swing it around, and then this key does this, and you push the button down and push this arrow stick down, and I'm like, oh god, my hand's gonna explode. But no, and it was an amazing
It's no
game.
different than a keyboard, except your fingers are on the buttons at all times, as opposed to a keyboard where you have to move your fingers.
See, I don't understand that. To me, in my mind, I rather remember QWERTYU. Those all do different things. That's easy to remember. But yeah, because you don't have to remember the 3D aspect of a controller just really wigs me out, which is why I never enjoyed Halo or I never enjoyed any sort of shooting game on the Switch because it's just you can't aim. Even in Spider-Man, I was swinging through the streets of New York in that first hour of the game, and I fell 5 or 6 times because I'm like, swing, swing. I don't understand why you're not swinging. It's just, oh, I've
For context, Adam and I started playing on a Genesis or Mega Drive for me. For Korean, Switch is literally his first console, so give him a break. That's okay to not know intuitively all the buttons on the pad.
Yeah, no, I struggle with that
That makes
on
sense.
the Switch too as well. Sometimes when the Switch uses the trigger buttons, I'm like, oh god. But no, it's still a great game. It's probably going to get uninstalled because I was telling Adam saw me and post about it on Twitter that I've decided to go back to the Switch for the next few months. So I was playing Cult of the Lamb over the last few days and really enjoying it. That is an impressive game in terms of mechanics, and it looks cool as well. But it's just like awesome mechanics, and I did enjoy the rogue. My first finished roguelike was Hades, which was awesome as well. And we'll talk about another Switch game later, actually. But yeah, that is my take on Spider-Man. It's a great game, especially for the story. Like I did not hate the story. I just hated the controller aspect of it.